the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Beres on Casual Thursday Tax Day. That's what we're doing. Taxes. We're talking taxes today. You're like, what, Nick? Wait, April, it's already done. I got my return, or I just got a letter I'm getting audited. Okay, maybe that's something we should talk about. But the bottom line is there's things to think about outside of what we will call the traditional tax season. And so I think it's a good idea to talk about it every once in a while. And you may have questions yourself where you're going to be welcome to join in the conversation. We'll get the number up in the screen in just a moment. But we are talking taxes with an expert who knows taxes, but just got done telling me that even for triple her salary, she would not go work for the IRS in Washington, D.C. Dr. Friday, good morning.
Good morning.
You wouldn't? Even if they threw in an apartment in Georgetown and a limo taking you to and from the IRS headquarters.
I am not bribable, okay? I am not bribable.
You would not?
I love my clients, and I love to represent clients in front of it. It's a very good challenge. It's fun.
Well, yes, but if you worked for the IRS, your clients would be the entire country.
I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side. Now I'm trying to defend the U.S. tax code against taxpayers, and that's a little different story.
From where you sit as the IRS, are they the bad guys?
Actually, the people that I deal with are just employees.
Yeah.
So but the IRS is the collection agency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's their job. Their job is to get every taxpayer to pay every single dollar they're supposed to pay.
Right.
The odds are 3% of you are ever going to do that. The rest are going to get away with possibly not paying everything you're supposed to pay. So
you really believe 3% are the only 3% really?
That's what gets audited.
Oh, the 3% get audited. Okay. How many people? But the vast majority of Americans, would you say, do pay what they owe?
A vast majority, because they're not self-employed. If you're on a W-2, there's nothing you can do. You can't change the taxes. They're very straightforward. Right. There's no reason to question. But how many people do a little something on the side, maybe make a little money? Sure. It's cash. No one knows about it. You know, that kind of situation. Is that really reportable income per se? Is your hobby, even though you make only $4,000 or $5,000 a year, and I don't really make any money because I spend it, but according to tax law, hobbies are 100% taxable in 2018 pretty much because there's no deductions. Are you really just not reporting quite everything the IRS thinks you should? That's the question.
I see. All right. So what's the amount you have if you're earning on a little side gig, or you
$500 or more? You're supposed to put it on your tax return.
So, like, if you sell a bunch of stuff on eBay.
Now, theoretically, that if it's your own personal stuff, you probably paid more for it than what you actually received.
Yes, right.
But I believe if eBay 1099'd you, which I think is over 20,000, which is a huge sale, then you do have to bring it on, even if it's personal things, because at that point, the IRS is thinking you've done something more than just sold your leftover clothes.
I see, because I've got a lot of vinyl. A lot of records.
33s, 45s?
Yes, 33s, mostly 33. I've got a lot of, well, actually, it's not so much me, it's my wife.
Yes.
I mean, but if you sold that, you'd have to worry about it, and I'm not sure we're selling them, they're hers, but it would have to be more than $20,000.
Right, I mean, and most likely she paid a lot more, or inherited a lot more of that. I inherited quite a bit, but I will tell you, I just got rid of a lot of that.
Did you? Yeah. Still, they're coming back. A lot of people.
Well, and you know, I found some really cool stereo systems that actually have turntables on them. So anyway.
It took you a second. What's it called again?
What's it called?
It's a turntable. My son doesn't even know what those are. You know, teenagers forget it.
Yeah, well,
but they're coming back.
They want it mobile. You really can't take a turntable mobile, okay?
No, I'd be scratching the record left and right. All right, listen, we're going to take phone calls, as I always said, but since it's not, I suspect we won't get a lot today simply because we're not in tax season. But you say, talk about why you're on today and some of the things that we can anticipate in 2018.
So we have a huge change between 17 and 18, right? We've simplified the tax form, so apparently it's going to be a lot easier for individuals. But here's two things that's going to happen. If you're a family of 4 or more, and you usually break even, or maybe have a small amount of money due, and you haven't reevaluated your W-4s because the tax code changed, right? We went from 15% down to 12, we went from 20 down to 18, we lost a few, but we also took the standard deduction and eliminated the exemptions. So if you usually had $4,100 for 4 people in your family, that's like $16,000. That's gone. That's zero now. Okay? And now you've got 24, if you're married, $24,000 as a standard deduction instead of 12. So if you add 12 and 16, That's a little bit, that's like $30-some thousand or $28,000 versus 24. So you're already on the downside. You've already lost money in this new tax code. So all I'm saying is you really need to sit down. If you've always broke even, or maybe you had children that turned 17, so last year you had gotten the child credit, but this year your child turned 17, guess what? Zero. Well, I think it's going to be $500 if they're in up until they hit college, 22 when they're supposed to graduate, or 21 when they graduate college. You'll get $500 credit. So it's a change that my concern is everybody's going to think it's going to be the same. We've been in the same tax code for 30 years. I've never had a problem. Now, boom, some of this, myself example, I itemize. I usually get the $4,100. I've lost it. I will not, I mean, I'm $4,100 behind on my current tax code. Now, is the 3% going to offset that? I'm not sure, but I'm upping the ideas. I'm kind of sticking to the 15% tax code because is what I know what the income brackets were, and the current tax tables really provide this. So you really want to make sure that your W-2, because everyone lost withholdings on their W-2s.
All right. If
you look at last year's and this year's and you made the same salary, I bet box 2 or your federal withholding is showing less. Is that going to be a problem? Are you claiming married in 2? But you really only have 1 child at home right now because you used to really be able to itemize a lot, right? Now, if you have more than 1 property and you used to take a lot of property tax or sales tax, remember we call it SALT, the state withholding tax, you can only do $10,000. If you live in Williamson County, your property tax is 6 or 7, you're making a couple $100,000, your sales tax used to be 6 or 7, boom, you just lost a couple $1,000s in what you normally could itemize.
Okay, so you think that if people don't take note of this now, they're going to be surprised come tax time next time?
Absolutely, and that's the problem, that people aren't saving the money in case they do.
So they think it's status quo maybe, or they've forgotten the changes that you just talked about. And so they're going, okay, well, year again, I'm just going to do what I always did. And then boom, all of a sudden that time comes and you may end up owing money when in the past you were either breaking even or maybe even getting a little back.
Exactly. That is my big concern.
That just gets people's attention because they're like, wait. And then I know a lot of our viewers are like me. They're not multimillionaires or anything like this.
Everyday working people with kids in college, or I mean all the basic things that happen, some things that are in the new tax code, if you are a person that works for someone, let's take Nick, he actually has a real job unlike myself, and let's say that you could actually itemize your mileage and your cell phone because you went all over the place with your personal car and do these things, that's gone. Miscellaneous deduction is gone. So part of your itemizing that you've taken in the past is going to be zero.
But again, that's replaced by what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The $24,000 increase of standard deduction, but it's not really replaced. So those people, I have people that used to take $17,000, $18,000 alone under miscellaneous.
So it depends on what your situation was. Some people it may actually. Could it help some?
Well, yeah, because the people that, if you're a married couple and you took the standard deduction and you had the personal exemption, you just got $3,000 more.
Right.
So those individuals that have never itemized and you don't have, number of children, more than 2 children at home, you are going to be at break even or making money on this new tax code. I'm more concerned with those. Everybody's working really hard right now and they're all just trying to keep all the balls in the air, and boom, come February when they start doing their taxes, they get smacked in the face because they realize now that vacation fund that they've always had $2,000 or $3,000 to take the kids on summer break now depleted down to $1,000 or whatever. Because a lot of people actually really count on that refund.
Yeah, I was going to say on the other hand,
on the other side,
they may not even get the refund then.
Exactly, and then that could actually put a whole dampen in your lifestyle. So either way, you may be needing to sit down on the IRS.gov. There is a W-2 calculator. So I would suggest going to IRS.gov, putting your W-2 information, calculate it, just make sure that the new changes aren't going to put you in a tailspin 6 months from now when at that point you can't change it. It's over. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's my concern.
Okay, that's great to put out. I remember we had talked about this last year when those changes came into play, and I was saying, does that apply this year? You go, no, Nick, it's next year. So then you filed it away and you kind of forgot about it, and I literally had until she showed me. Just hold up, we can't zoom in on it, but is this basically what the new form is? Cut down from, how big was it?
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
it was a full page before.
Yeah, okay.
It was a full page.
It's half a page.
So
you can't make it all out. But it's very simple this year.
They call it a postcard.
Yeah.
So it's basically an 8x10 in half, or whatever these are, in half. And so you get the front half that's just going to have your name and your signature.
Okay.
The back half is going to report all of your income. Now, what they're not showing you is that every one of these boxes has another schedule. pretty much.
All right.
So there'll be a Schedule 1, a Schedule 2, a Schedule 3. But if you're a W-2 person, theoretically, you will have a form. Well, we all e-file, so it's not really a paper form anymore. But you'll have the front section with your name and sign, back section, box 1, will have your wages. Boom, you're done.
Wow.
So it will be simplified.
Yeah, that's
just, as I was saying to other people, the problem is in most of ours, I memorized where all the lines were the last 20 years of doing taxes, right? And now they've changed my number system.
You gotta start
so
over
now
too.
I've got to start all over and figure out where everything's going to be and make sure it's done right.
Knowing you already have done that.
Not yet, but
well,
I'm
you're
working
getting
on it.
close.
This came out on June 28th.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't quite got there
hasn't
yet.
been that long.
Been about a month.
Well, listen, let's take a break. When we come back, let's continue talking about some of the other items you have there, as well as, I don't know if you're sitting home and dealing ever with an audit, or I don't know what other things that may be carryovers from last year, perhaps, that people may be dealing with.
I haven't filed yet.
Is it? Yeah, there are people.
October 15th is the deadline, so there's a lot of procrastinators. So if you haven't filed 17, might be now time to talk about it.
You're still paying a penalty if you're waiting until October.
If you haven't paid.
If you haven't paid. All right. The number is 737-7587. Questions or comments for the doctor about taxes in general, if you'd like. We'll take them when we come back, and if not, sit back, listen in. We've got plenty of things to discuss right after this.